Well, hello there. Promised live at 1 p.m. New Zealand time, and I think it's 8 and 7 or 7 and 8 Central and Eastern, and I get so confused I just can't remember. So hopefully we'll have some people popping in here with us shortly. I would be a complete liar if I said that I wasn't a little bit nervous about being in here. But that's okay. That's okay. We have to step out of our comfort zones, right? And I'm hoping that Facebook is going to, at some point, tell me if anybody else is there. I can't see anything at the moment that suggests that people might be popping in, but maybe it's going to be one of those live Facebook videos where Facebook aren't going to help me out and tell me if anybody is there. So that isn't going to be an issue because I do have some questions here that people have asked, which I can answer. And if you want to ask some more questions, you can pop them in the comments. And if I don't get to them this week, I will get to them next week because I'm going to make this a regular weekly thing. I think it's fun for me to interact with people living where I do at the bottom of the world down here in New Zealand. It can be a little difficult for me to interact with readers and other writers. So I thought, hey, this is a really good way for me to get in touch with people. So that's what I've decided to do anyway. So I've got a little list here of things that I need to cover off in the time that I'm live with you. Apologies if there is any glare in the glasses here. It is, like I said in a couple of previews, it is totally chucking it down here. And so I've had to bring a light into the room. I often video in here without a light, but today it was just going to look like, I don't know, doom and gloom, and you really wouldn't be able to see me, I don't think, without a light in here. So I've got a light going, and so there may be a little bit of glare, but hey, if I take the glasses off, I won't be able to see a thing. I won't be able to see if anybody's interacting with me, and I'm just going to move this here and see. I don't know that Facebook is going to tell me anything about what's going on. So hopefully if you are there, hello. I'm sorry that I'm not acknowledging you personally. I have a few issues sometimes with technology. So the other thing I did do was I brought my phone in here. And I don't know even if I can check on my phone to see if I can look at my own live broadcast. And if I can, then maybe I can see if there are other people there, but I don't know how it works, quite frankly. Half the time it's like magic as far as I'm concerned. And of course, because I'm wearing my glasses, I can't actually see my phone in front of me, but there we go. Oh, I can see that Nancy's liked. Hi, Nancy. I hope you're feeling better after you fell down those stairs. You've got to be a little bit careful. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but anyway, we will get on. We will get on with some questions, and we will get on with some questions. So let's have a look. Okay, so one of the questions was, when did you start writing? Now, as a writer, it's probably the same for most people that write, but I have been writing ever since I can remember. I can't remember a time that I didn't have journals. I think that my first journal was a little Holly Hobby one. I don't know if you have Holly Hobby. I could be showing my age. I don't know if you have Holly Hobby, but they are little tiny journals, and mine had a pink cover and gold around the edge of the pages, and it had a little lock on it, and I used to feverishly write away in that and lock it up so that nobody else could ever hear the thoughts that were going on inside of my head, because I probably, even as a young child, didn't want anybody to hear or read what I was writing about. And you know, things change as you get a little bit older and you decide that you're going to put your stories out in the world. But I have always written. For me, it's like breathing. when I publish a book these days, I have a little period of not writing after I've published because I have to do a lot of other stuff. And I get cranky, absolute cranky pants. You know, you ask my husband, if he talks to me before I've done my daily writing, you know, it's not good. So anyway, so I can be a little bit of a cranky pants. Hello, Tracy. It's lovely to see you. So yes, I am going to be able to see some comments, and thank you for your compliment. Tracy Alvarez is another wonderful New Zealand writer. If you like reading stories about New Zealand, you need to go and check her out. She writes some fantastic stories about men who live at the bottom of our South Island. And yeah, so go and check out Tracy's writing. So if I don't write, I get cranky. So for me, it's like breathing. And it's also a way that I can deal with the shit and the crap that's going on in my life by writing it out on the page. I can read one of my books and I can know exactly what was going on in my life when I was writing that story, because I can see some of the stuff that I was working out going on the page. So that's, you know, that's just another interesting little fact for you. So what inspires me to write? Just everything. Just opening my eyes in the morning inspires me to write. There is so much beauty and wonder and amazing stuff in the world. I've got a huge window on this side of me, which is weird for me because it's actually there, but when I look at myself in the camera, it's over there, so it's all backwards. And the sun keeps shining today, and then it keeps pouring with rain, and then the sun keeps shining. And that's enough inspiration for me to write, as bizarre as it sounds. So I would say, you know, I've been through some dark times in my life, and writing got me through those. So that's part and parcel of the reason that I do what I do. I just love story. I had a terrible day yesterday. I went to the dentist, you know, oh my God, talk about, I've like PTSD with a dentist. I nearly died last year. And, you know, I lay there in that chair, and he was doing some drilling on a plate that I have in my mouth. Like he didn't even have his fingers in my mouth. And I was just like this, you know, I was like, oh my God, you know, and I need to write about that. You know, writing about that will help me through it. And Tracy's just asked me to talk to you about my writing process, which is actually one of the questions that was down here as well. So that's cool. So I get up in the morning and I get dressed and I sit and I have some quiet time, and I do some meditation and a little bit of journaling, because I love to journal. That's just that free flow of getting the garbage out of my brain for the day. And journaling's helped me learn a lot about myself over the years, and it's helped me heal from some pretty traumatic experiences as well. And then I'll go and walk the dog. Walking the dog is great if you've got plot point problems. You know, Bruno is just a wonder at unraveling that sticky plot point. And I come home and I have some breakfast, and then I make a cup of coffee, and I am at my writing desk at 10:15 in the morning. And I write from 10:15 till 11 o'clock. And then I take a 15-minute break. And then I write again from 11:15 to midday. And that's pretty much my creative writing time in a day. And usually when things are going well, when sort of I'm in the middle of a story, I'm not just starting something, or I'm not just finishing something, because they're two completely different tricky areas while I'm writing, I can usually write about 2,500 to 3,000 words in that period, which some days I think I'd like to write more, and some days I think maybe that's enough. But I've learned over the years that I think that's my process, and that's as fast as the story comes to me. You know, my characters talk to me in my head. I'm a very, you know, it's kind of an audio thing going on for me. And so they talk to me, I listen to what they say, and I write down what they have to say to me. And that's what happens for me. So that's my writing process, Tracy. Thank you for asking. And somebody else has asked me, how do I get my story ideas? And it's like I said, you know, they're everywhere. I have a folder on my computer that is just stuffed with ideas that I don't think I will ever have time to write. And it's that same thing that people discover that you're a writer and they go, oh, I've got this really good idea, you know, do you think you'd like to write it for me? And the answer to that is usually actually no, because I've got more ideas stashed in my folder and in my head than I'm ever going to be able to deal with in my probably lifetime on this planet. So there you go. Do you belong to any professional writing organisations? And the answer to that is yes. I'm a member of Romance Writers of New Zealand, and they're a great organisation, specifically for obviously people who write romance, but I think we've got a few members who write outside of that as well. And I'm also a member of Romance Writers of America, which is just a massive organisation. And I love RWA because I get to occasionally visit America, which is a lot of fun. And catch up with lots of people who don't sound the same as me when they speak. So that's a lot of fun too. So, so there are a couple of the organisations that I belong to. And then, of course, there's just a plethora of people on online that I connect with a lot through various Facebook groups, and they're a lot of fun as well. And I mean, you can call them professional organisations, but I guess that they are. So because there's a whole lot of professional people in there who are trying to do the best, help each other. You know, it's just writers are wonderful people. You know, I'm an introvert pretending here to be an extrovert. I'll probably have to go and have a lie down after this. And it's nice to be able to find a community of people who want to help each other do the best that we can, because sometimes writing can be a terribly solitary experience, which is why this is fun and interesting as well. So what else have I got on my list here? What was the inspiration for Private Love? Private Love in a Public Place is the first Rockstar romance that I wrote. It wasn't actually the first book that I wrote, but it was the first Rockstar book that I wrote, and it was the first book that I self-published. So I had quite a few unpublished manuscripts. I'd been doing the round of agents and editors like lots of writers do when they're trying to break into writing, and then I heard about self-publishing in 2012, and after a long and torturous rejection process with another publisher, I decided that I would release Mags and Julian into the world. And I'm really pleased that I did. It's kind of like my little book that could. It's an introduction to my writing, and a lot of people go to that book first, obviously because it's the first in a series. And it's the first Rockstar romance that I wrote. But the inspiration for writing that really was the story of Mary Magdalene. I'm not religious, but I have a very spiritual life, and I've always been fascinated by the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And I've lived with musicians all my life. My father was a bass player. I used to spend my Saturday mornings gaffer taping cables down in clubs in Manchester. And so I've always been fascinated by that connection that a musician has with his audience, and how that connection grows, and how that charismatic man becomes surrounded by these followers. And I thought there was a lot of parallels in the Jesus story and some of the musicians that I see. You know, a lot of you will know that I love Robbie Williams, and I've watched his career go up and down, and you know, probably the ultimate being the 3 days that he did in Nebworth, and I was fascinated by the hold that he had over those hundreds of thousands of people. And so that's what I wanted to explore in that book, the dynamic of this person who has this huge outside persona, and people who think that they know that person because of that persona and because of their performance. But then actually what I knew as the musicians that I spent so much time with backstage, and most of them are not those kind of people. Most of the musicians that I know are introverts, but they love their music, so they share it with the world. So that was where that story came from, and that was what inspired me to write it. And I've probably been continuing to explore that dynamic for so much time, and I love bringing my musicians back to New Zealand because I've only been to America 2 or 3 times, and as much as I love you, I don't understand your culture. And I don't feel that I'm going to be able to write about your culture with an authoritative voice. So I figure if I bring my musicians, hey, hi, Emma, it's lovely to see you. Don't apologise for being late. It's cool. I'm here. I'm chatting away. I'm having a good time. So I don't feel that I can speak to that culture with any kind of authority, but I can talk about my own culture. And I can talk very much about the British music scene because it was what I was involved in as a child and what I've pretty much been brought up with. And the New Zealand music scene follows the British music scene, I think, a lot more than it follows the American music scene. So that's where I've decided that I will concentrate my writing and style. You know, the latest style series was born out of the Get Rocked in Vegas box set, where I met a lot of amazing other Rockstar romance writers, and we collaborated and we had a lot of fun writing that festival. But it was in Vegas, and I'm like, but I write about British guys who live in New Zealand. How the hell am I going to do this? So I took a British band and tried to break that band in America, and that was how the Starstruck series was born. And I've had a lot of fun finishing up with that. And I've got an announcement about style at the end of the session here. So if you're interested in where the series is going and what's happening next, I'll be able to tell you about that too. So what other questions? Hello, Louise. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in. Another wonderful New Zealand writer. You need to go and check out Louisa George's books. She has also written a Rockstar romance, which the name of escapes me at the moment. So Louise might pop that in the notes for you so you can go and check it out. Do I have any favourite books that I have written? I like all of my books. It's like asking me if I have any favourite children, and I have to tell you that birthing a book is just about as bad as birthing a child. So they all have their moments. They all have their moments of, you know, writing a book for me is discovering an idea that I love and then writing about it until I never, ever frickin' want to hear about it ever again. You know, and by the time I publish something and you guys are all really excited about it, I'm like, it is so yesterday's news. I'm so pleased that you're excited about it. It's just that I feel sometimes like I just never want to see these people again. And then when I go back and I look at some of my backlist, I remember why I fell in love with that man and why I thought this woman was wonderful and why I thought that was a great idea. So sometimes I think I just need to get some distance from some of that. So that's where I am with that. And what else? What did I do before I became a full-time writer? I've always worked with words. Okay, I worked in law for a couple of decades before I wrote full-time. And in the last, I think, 15 years specifically, I worked in relationship property law, which is pretty much about people who used to love each other, deciding that they're no longer in love and trying to tear each other and their relationship property apart. So I used to spend all of my days dealing with people who were in terrible conflict and upset with each other, and there was massive emotional turmoil. And then the big joke in the office was that I would go home and write about true love to detox, which is what I did for a really long time. So I'm very pleased to be writing full-time and to be able to share that writing with you. So it's, you know, and if there comes a time that I can't write full-time, then I can probably go back to that, but I'd really rather not go back to that because I love focusing on the positive things in life and the happy things in life, and I think that's why I'm a romance writer. I dabble a little bit in women's fiction because sometimes I like to write a little bit outside of the romance tropes. Maybe I don't want quite so much of a happy ending, but I want to walk a journey with a woman, and I have a couple of books sort of in that genre, but you know, they're much harder to write, and sometimes I don't get as much joy out of them because, you know, there's a lot more pain involved in walking some people's journeys than there is in romance. Romance for me is always uplifting, and no matter how dark it gets, I always know that there's going to be that happy ever after, and there's never that guarantee in women's fiction. So I'll probably end up still writing more romance than anything else because it's what I enjoy the most. Do you set your writing outside of New Zealand? I've probably covered some of that off with the Vegas set. I have a lovely book that I wrote called Return to Ala Moana Beach, which is about a military serviceman who came back from Iraq with a bullet in his back and didn't know if he'd be able to hold his marriage together with his wife. So it was a second chance romance, and I love second chance romances, so I had a lot of fun writing that. And I'd been to Hawaii, so I had a bit of an idea of Hawaii itself, and it's a country that I fell in love with. So it was a lovely book to write, and it was actually a book that I wrote for another publisher. And, you know, I might talk about that one day, but I won't at the moment. Emma's asked a question: has your background in law helped you to write? I think it has, because I've met so many interesting, diverse and fascinating people through that. And the law that I was working in is about having people come and see you when they're at their most emotionally vulnerable, and romance is about writing emotion and conveying that emotion on the page. And as a person, I've always hurt. I think I'm a bit of an empath. I feel other people's pain. You know, I'm always that person who walks into the pet shop and looks at a fish in the aquarium and finds the one that's struggling down on the bottom and wants to do something about it, or finds the one that's being bullied over here, or, you know, it's just how I am. And so I think spending so much time in law, meeting so many diverse people, being told so many amazing things. Obviously, law's about there's an issue of privacy and what have you, but some of the things that I've been told have sparked off ideas that I don't think I ever would have had in any other way. And I think what it's done too is it's given me an understanding a little bit too of the psychology of people, about what people do when they're hurting. You know, hurt people hurt other people. And frightened people find it difficult to get outside of themselves and stand up to other people. So I think that I think probably more than anything, it's aging. God help me, you know, aging that's helped me as a writer, because your life experiences all start to meld together, and they come out on the page. And I think that's what your voice is. And I think that you find your readers who resonate with your life experiences and the way that you express them. And I think that's a wonderful thing too, yeah. So I should just check my list to see if there are any other questions here. Okay, I think I've covered off the questions, and there may be some more, because sometimes I think that Facebook shows you some stuff and doesn't show you other stuff, and there's not a lot I can do about that. But anyway, I've got my little list of things that I want to talk about, and I don't want to keep you all here too long. So what I want to talk about is some giveaways. So I have a romance group called Romance on the Red Couch, hence the old trusty couch here. And my Ruby readers get everything first. They've just had my cover reveal before anybody else, and they have my blurbs, and they have extracts of my books. And I've got some giveaways that I'm going to be starting to give away each week to people who come and visit live, because I'm going to be doing this every week, I've decided, and I'm going to be roping in other romance authors to come and talk and be interviewed. So Tracy and Louise, watch out, even though I know Louise is going away for a while. But if you're keen and if you're game, oh, and here's Shirley, lovely to see you, Shirley. Shirley might be game to come on and be interviewed and talk about her writing too. So I'm going to be giving some giveaways away, and I struggle with postage here, but I have found some of these cool little things. Now, I don't know how well you can see this. There we go. Try not to get the lights on it. So this is a bookmark, okay? And it's very cool. It's actually probably a very 1950s New Zealand bookmark, but it's a little magnetic strip. So I can post these out to people. And I've got some others. This is another cool little New Zealand Kiwi one, and it probably matches that cover. And then there's these cool little Koru ones as well. And I've also got some cheeky little Kiwi key rings. So I'm going to be giving these away every week to a couple of lucky people who come and say hello live, come and join the group, just generally interact, you know, just a little reward, being a part of everything, a little bit of Kiwiana. I'm also going to be sending out some signed books. I love sending out signed books. I don't like New Zealand Post for the cost of what they charge me for sending them out, but I'm going to be sending them out as well. So keep an eye out on my Romance on the Red Couch page. Go join. We have a lot of fun in there, and so it would be lovely to see you too. And what else have I got to talk about? I've told you about wanting to come back every week and interview some authors. So if there's some Rockstar romance authors that you think you would like to hear from, that I or you may be able to approach to see if they'd like to come and have a chat on the couch. They obviously cannot come and sit all the way here in New Zealand, but I can certainly sit on the couch and we can do some kind of electronic link up, which I'm sure I'll get my head around and we'll manage. There's lots of wonderful software out there to help us. So we'll do some interviews. I just want you to believe me when I say that this is going to be a regular weekly thing, because I like catching up. Shirley, you're full of wonderful compliments. Thank you so much. And I have other exciting news this week. I have forever been wanting to write a Rockstar romance about a young band who start from nowhere and work their way up. But I don't know if readers will want to read that. And when you are a commercial author who has to find a market for your work, if there's a big fat question mark over whether or not there's going to be a market, but you still want to write this stuff, then you've got to find a way of doing that. So what I have decided to do is I'm going to write a weekly serial on my blog. It will be 2,000 or 3,000 words, dependent on how it goes. And I've written the first 3,500 words. And my Ruby readers on the Red Couch group, they named our main man, and his name is Dylan King. And I've just written the start of Dylan's story. And very shortly after I finish with you here, I will be setting up my blog and I will be posting the first part of Dylan's story. Now, that sounds awesome, says Emma. Good. So the interesting part about this is that this is going to be a collaboration between you guys and me. So what I'm going to do at the end of the story is I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions, and you're going to tell me where Dylan is going to go next. So you get a say on how the story is written. So I think that might be fun. And I think it's going to be an interesting way for us to see if we enjoy this story, if we think the King brothers are worth writing about, or maybe we might just be writing the backstory for my next Rockstar romance, in which case we get to know these guys so much more than anybody else before any of the books come out. So I hope you like that idea. There'll be there'll be some little giveaways with that as well. If you vote, you'll go in the draw to get a magnet or something fun sent to you. Thanks, Shirley. Yeah, well, maybe I'm having a mad idea. Sometimes I think it's a really good idea. Maybe when the pressure's on and the readers have decided that they want to take the story a different way than I want to take it, I might not think it's such a great idea, but I think we could have some fun. So I've certainly had fun writing the first 3,000 words, and it was fun deciding on Dylan's name, but we've got him now. We've got him pegged down. And we're going to work out who the rest of his band members are. So that's going to be part of the next little bit of our journey. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. So keep an eye out for that. So you'll be getting a note about that starting soon. And the other thing I have for you today is the cover for the next book in the Star Strike series. Now, this is the last book in the Star Strike series, unless you guys decide that you want me to take Sam on a really hideous roller coaster ride, but we might have to talk about that because I really don't know if I'm up to taking Sam on that kind of a hideous roller coaster ride, but that's something else that we'll talk about. But anyway, this is Ryan. I hope you can see that. We're doing this old school. So he is my latest leading man, and he will be coming to you probably mid-April, I'm thinking, at this point. I love him. Paul was great and Todd was fantastic, but I am totally smitten with Ryan. And I haven't been smitten by somebody since Julian, so it has taken a while for me to be totally smitten, but I am totally smitten. And thank you, Emma. I think it's a pretty awesome cover as well. I just thought that this was fantastic, and I'm very excited about this book. And yes, but I wondered about the purple, but I think I'm going to have to go with it. And anyway, I don't think my cover design is going to change anything, so I'm stuck with it. So we're all stuck with it, but I think it's really pretty damn fine. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm wondering now if I can hold that up, keep my glasses on my nose because it's really hot and I'm starting to sweat just a tiny bit. Sorry, glow. Women glow, don't they? Men sweat, women glow. But anyway, I will read you the blurb and hopefully not put this down. So here we go. Let's see if I can do 3 things all at once. I have to hold this out here so I can see. All right. He thinks he deserves a second chance, but does she? Ryan's never forgotten that first sweet, innocent kiss, the way his insides curled up, the way his entire body came alive. He thought they'd be together forever. But then the siren call of the band took him away. Fame, fortune, women throwing themselves at him. But he never forgot her. He always held a place in his heart, even if she did tell him to leave. Becky didn't want to love him. Watching him walk away had been the hardest thing she'd ever done in her life. She'd picked up the shattered pieces of her heart and forged ahead, making a new life for herself without him. Then he came home to bury his mother. Seeing him alone by the side of the grave threatened to unravel her. If she could just keep her distance until he left, then she'd be okay. But his mother had other ideas. So, there you go. That's Ryan and Becky's story. Coming to you soon, maybe April, maybe mid-April. I think mid-April. I thought about the 8th, but it might be a little bit later than that, but certainly coming to you in April. So, there we are. I think that's pretty much it for me. Holy crap. I hope that's holy crap in a good way, Emma. So, I think that's me today. I was quite nervous about coming to you live. I think I've ticked everything off my list. So I am going to say thank you to those of you who turned up live. It's been lovely to see you. And I hope that those of you who get to watch this later enjoy what you hear. Know that I will be back next week. Now, if Thursday is not a good night for you lovely people in America, let me know. But I thought Thursday might be nice because it will be a warm-up to the weekend. When I get my cereal going, I will be, oh, look at all these things coming along the bottom now. Love hearts and smileys and all sorts. It's very cool. God, I'm like a fish. I've lost my train of thought now. I thought it'd be nice. I'll come every week. If I keep coming every week, then you guys will know to tune up, okay? And we'll have some fun, and we'll announce some winners each week, and we'll talk about a few things, and maybe we'll get some guests in, and maybe you can suggest what else we might do as well. So I've had a wonderful time being here with you people. Thank you so much for allowing me into your lives. It is a great honour for me that you want to spend time with me and that you want to read what I spend my time writing. It's a wonderful thing to be able to play with the people in my head and have people enjoy that too. So wherever you are in the world, enjoy the rest of your evening if you're in America, and the rest of your day if you're down under here with me in New Zealand, and I will catch you soon. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.